Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Transmissions from Adronis here through YouTube recording, where it's not a webinar. It is the first official episode of Transmissions from Adronis, and what I'm going to be looking into today, as I bring Adronis through, is we're going to be looking into the nature of first contact. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a moment to bring Adronis through, and then as he comes through, he'll share some exciting insight in regards to this subject today. Is information regarding to what might first contact look like. So we're going to go ahead and explore that right now. So I'll take a moment and we'll begin. Terra Soul Star Sirius Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this particular transmission being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. We have been asked to share insight in regards to the nature of first contact. What might it look like? What could we expect when the time comes when we will be able to interact with our star family, our stellar ancestors, as it were? Well, firstly, to understand this, you must firstly realize that everything can change. There are always possibilities and probabilities, and so there are many opportunities for such an event like this to take place. Now, firstly, before we get into that realization of what we could, shall we say, stimulate the idea of what a possible scenario for first contact could feel like, we want you to firstly be aware of how your star family feels about you. We deeply love you. You are indeed our family. You are indeed our progeny. And what we mean by that is that there are a multitude of us, collectively, that have volunteered and contributed our own genetics together with the human race to help you become what you have become. There have been 39 distinct versions of yourselves. And through these 39 distinct versions, going into, shall we say, earlier processes of evolution, coming into what you would term right now as your current state of evolution, you are growing, you are expanding, you are evolving. You are advancing yourselves bit by bit, more and more, each and every single day, coming closer and closer to the time to where your star ancestry will at some particular point, and in a small way, be revealed bit by bit. And that there will be opportunities for your civilization to take to the stars. And you're really not too far away from that. This is a time right now where you are learning to work together, because the nature in regards to how much of your mainframes of systems that operate on this planet cannot be here. They cannot be a part of this particular, as we will say, timeline that represents your integration into a galactic society. So what needs to change? We would say the great majority of your systems on how they are currently run right now needs to change. There needs to be a heart center relating to how you conduct yourselves through your lives. Your systems need to reflect the heart. Your systems need to reflect compassion. It is not about burying each other or crawling over each other due to money, greed, power, corruption, or anything of that nature. It is not about trying to destroy one another. It is not about trying to weaponize your planet, trying to find new ways to end each other's lives. It is not about following a destructive path. You need to align yourselves to coming into a creative, a compassionate, and a community-based path. This needs to happen. Otherwise, there would be no first contact possibility whatsoever. This has to happen. That is not negotiable. So that's what needs to happen first. Everything that represents destruction, everything that represents corruption, everything that represents greed, everything that represents this separate self-consciousness, where you are constantly at each other's throats, where you are fighting one another, where you do not know yourselves, where you do not know one another, where you do not work with your planet, where you pollute, where you contaminate, where there are toxins in your air, toxins in your water, toxins within your food, toxins within the earth. All of these things need to change. Diseases, illnesses, ailments, short lifespan, all of this needs to change. This is all part and parcel of your new generations coming together, because you are going to find much more innovative leadership through your youth, not through your seniors. They are still caught up in much of that old programming. It's the younger children that are going to be the ones who are going to be the innovators for you. They are going to help lead the charge, and they will require their seniors, yes, to assist them in bringing these new technologies forward, in bringing these new innovations and ideas for harmonious living to come forward. Because as we have said, this needs to happen. You cannot expect to have first contact with galactic society when galactic society operates nothing like what you are experiencing on the Earth. We do not have money. We do not have weaponization to try and destroy worlds and life forms upon those worlds. We do not see you as our enemy. We do not judge others. We do not fight others over bickering. We do not, as you would say, bury ourselves in drama. That is not how it operates when it comes to galactic society. It is a very different world. And that you need to reciprocate that type of world within yourselves. It's not about coming to the stars from where you are right now. That would not be compatible, and that would be in many ways disastrous. And that's why it cannot happen right now. It needs to operate in the way that is compatible with how the galactic society functions. If that is not where you are, then you're still at a time of progressing. You're still at a transitional period with yourselves. We are getting this out of the way so that you can get a little bit more of an understanding of what we are going to talk about. Because this is important for you to know. In order for you to move into galactic civilization, the civilization that you are a part of needs to go through its own progression. It needs to go through its own growing pains. It's like a child that's learning how to be an adult. They are going to go through a type of puberty. They're going to go through growing pains so that they can mature themselves and align and become something even greater. But in order for you to become something greater, you need to realize where your pain is trying to point you so that you know what to resolve. And we know there are those of you who are doing your work, who are going through the growing pains, and who are learning. We understand that. but it still needs to come to a greater capacity for your planet. It's not just for the few of you. The idea of a first contact is for the majority of you. It is not for a minority. So, once you start to develop yourselves, once you start to go through that puberty, that progression, that change, those growing pains, where you start to move much more into a maturity, where you look at your planet and saying, wow, we are really getting together here. We're really starting to clean everything up. We're putting an end to wars. We're putting an end to greed. We're putting an end to corruption. We're putting an end to fighting with one another, bickering at one another, seeing each other as separate. As you start to do that, new innovations will come forward. Those innovations will involve space exploration publicly. Not privately. Publicly. You will have public transit available on an interstellar level. It is not going to be kept secret. Cannot work that way. We would not initiate first contact with anything pertaining to a private institution. Will never happen. It needs to be public. Everything in regards to how you live your lives comes through a public forum, and through the nature of contact taking place will be publicly known. Not privately, not through top secret governments, not through black projects or anything of that nature. No, none of it. It needs to come publicly. And we are simply just observing all of you. We are going to observe about how you are going to continue to evolve yourself into becoming an interstellar civilization, because you're right at the cusp of that happening. You're very, very close. But again, this cannot come through privatization. This cannot come through secrecy. This is not about being clandestine about these things. For you to enable first contact with your star family is a public event. It's a public forum. And that is how we see it happening. Now, there are many possibilities about that as well. But as we stated, as we have talked about in your past regarding the nature of first contact, you will therefore be initiating that intention together as a collective to want to know your star family, because you will see us. You will have sightings. You will have certain forms of interactions, in a way. Not of an official capacity, but very much, as we would say, just starting to warm things up. You're going to start dipping your toe in the water. You are going to see more and more phenomena as you start to develop yourself as a growing, introductory, interstellar civilization. You will start to develop interstellar structures, holding themselves around the orbit of your Earth. There will be scientific laboratories relating to interstellar science that will become, again, a very large part of your life. It's not just the idea of these orbiting space stations. It's the idea that you may have, as you would term, institutions, universities, that will actually be platforms that you are placing in orbit of your planet, where children and young adults, middle-aged adults, etc., can actually go and learn much more about the interstellar heavens. They can start learning much more into exoplanetary science. They can start learning a lot more about the truth about how the universe actually works, where you're looking into vibration, energy, frequency. You are getting out of the archaic sciences that are incorrect. So there will be that. There will also be, again, leisure platforms, pleasure platforms that may represent the idea of accommodations. There may be even communities that will be developed in orbit of your Earth. These particular platforms, institutions, establishments, foundations that will be taking place. And you will again start to look a lot more into looking towards colonizing your moon. That too will be talked about. That too will be discussed. And in some capacity, that will actually be permitted because the moon is going through a greater amount of change right now, where much of the controllers, we will say, representing the moon are no longer there. So it is going to be moved into a type of neutralization where there will be certain areas of your moon that will be granted for you to colonize. Not right away, but down the road, that certainly will be the intention, where you'll be able to land on the moon and start to develop certain establishments there as well. But between the Earth and the moon, and between those sequences of events, your public will be very much aware of more phenomena taking place, and this particular form of phenomena will be deliberate. You will see ships here and then gone. You will see more forms of spacecraft, vessels, interdimensional vessels, coming in just to basically introduce ourselves and then popping out. And you'll be wondering, how is this done? It's none of ours. These craft that are showing up, they're not ours. What's going on here? This is quite interesting. Just like we have, in that sense, given you small portions of ourselves through sightings, through what you would know as your course of human history, we're just going to give you a little bit more intimate sightings, interactions that will take place, where you will see us and then you will not see us, where you will identify certain levels of craft and then you will not see them. But this will, as you would say, tickle your fancy quite a bit. You'll want to investigate more about this. There's a lot of UFO sightings taking place in space, and it's happening at a much more alarming rate. As you get closer, and as you get closer, and as you get closer, those sightings will start to stay longer. And there will be opportunities for some type of communication. Something that through your own intentions you will want to commit to. And that we will just give you little hints here and there. And this will continue for quite some time. As you continue to develop yourselves, as you start to have that curiosity, as you want to have that commitment, and I want to get to know these beings. I want to get to know the ones that are in these ships. We want to get to know them more. And as that curiosity continues to expand over a great deal of time, then there will be something that will represent an opportunity pertaining to what you would term as a probable pre-first contact. Not official to the degree of what you would expect it to be, where you're seeing ships landing on your planet and having some type of means of exchange. No, it will be a type of pre-contact where there will be something that's publicly available, but it will represent the idea where appointed facilitators of both sides will have some type of interaction more informally, and then it will graduate into something greater. As it graduates into something greater, this is what you would refer to as a type of first contact. And as we stated, this is just a probability. This is just a possibility. It's not written in stone. But again, it's all coming through the need of nursing this into a very powerful first contact event. As we have said, you will be the ones who will have the intention to initiate first contact with us. It will not come from us. We're just giving you hints here and there. We're just letting you know, hey, we're here with you. From that point forward, the rest is up to you. And you will start to form committees. You will start to form councils and discuss this matter, because it will be happening much more at a much more frequent rate for longer periods. And you will be very curious about this. I wonder who's on board those ships. I wonder how many are there. Are there multitudes of different civilizations that are attempting to connect with us? Absolutely. You're our family. And we say that to you again and again and again and again and again. And there will, of course, be those curious minds. Well, how could we be your family? Well, that's what you're going to find out as you get closer, as you get closer, as you get closer to that time of first contact. But the nature of first contact will be a public forum, which means the world will be ready for it. They will be warmed up to welcoming their star family, so we can start teaching you. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. You're welcoming us in. You're again leading the charge here. And we will only go as far as you are ready to receive. It will not lead to any questionability about deception, because you're going to arrange these forums. You're going to arrange these particular forms of contact. And bit by bit, more and more, over time, there is going to be a blossoming. But we will generally start to restrain and restrict ourselves to a certain degree, because you need to ask the questions. And we will again soften the idea of giving you appropriate answers about your lineage. We will also start to comment on the nature of your technology. We're basically just receiving the invitations from you. We are not demanding anything from you. We are not trying to put something ahead of you that you're not ready for. It will all work together through your corroboration, curiosity, commitment, and intentions. And we will simply follow suit. Because we know when you're ready before you even do. This is not, as you would say, our first rodeo. The idea of many different alliances and civilizations, federations, etc., have been around for, as you would say, many, many hundreds of millions of years. Some even in the billions. We have worked together with hundreds of thousands of worlds. It is not something new to us. In fact, we know the rhythm about how every civilization develops themselves. You're no different. You're no different in regards to how you are following the pulse about how you develop yourselves. There are other civilizations, though not going into the intensities as you have, that again have had to go through a do or die situation, in a manner of speaking. That they have had to break away from their tendencies that were basically bringing themselves to the point of self-destruction, and that they were teetering, and that they had to make big decisions as a collective to finally move themselves upwards, to let go of fighting, of war, of poverty, of corruption, of greed. Just as you are, what you're doing is nothing that deviates the rhythm. We know your pulse. We know your rhythm. You have certainly put a great deal more extremes than many other civilizations have. And again, you have certainly brought about a greater, more form of creativity than many civilizations have, but you still follow the pulse. You still follow the rhythm. We know, like clockwork, exactly what your evolutionary rhythm is going to lead you to. And we can guarantee you that humanity will be an interstellar civilization. We can guarantee you that you will make contact with your star family. We can guarantee you that you will be mentored. That you will be able to fill the gaps of your histories. Not a history, but histories. About looking beyond the linearity of life. About understanding how important it is to live from here, not down here and not in here. as it pertains to logic, as it pertains to, shall we say, lower forms of rationality. There is a higher logic, and that is what we are going to teach you. But that higher logic actually comes more from here that then leads into here. That's the idea. So there will be much that you will be taught. Now, as you would say, well, Adronis, here's the $64 million question. When is this supposed to happen? When? Can we see this here in the 2020s, the 2030s, 2040s, 2050s? When is this supposed to happen? We can never give you a cemented date on this because, as we stated, this is more about the event itself. We have told you about your 2020s. Your 2020s represents a time where you're cleaning yourselves up, where you're revealing a lot more about what has been hidden behind you, and you're choosing to make a vital decision. And that vital decision is moving past the forms of systems that do not complement you as a culture, as a civilization. You will say no to them, and you will watch them collapse. Because without your support, they will fall. And you will derive yourselves much more into the nature of moving towards systems that, as you would say, would be much more ethical, which would be much more compassionate, community-based, people-powered. Not through the orientation of allowing certain people in the smaller minority to run things on your planet. It's not going to work that way. So 2020s really reflect that. A little bit of the 2030s as well too. But if we were to give you somewhat of a loose estimate, and please pay attention to what we're saying, a loose estimate, approximately sometime around the 2050s. Now again, that's not guaranteed. That is a loose estimate based on where you are right now, because you have a lot to do on this planet. We know some of you are grumbling, oh that long. You have to see exactly where you are right now pertaining to yourselves as a civilization. You're still at the level of the growing pains. You're still a child that is learning to go through this puberty, going through these growing pains to learn to become an interstellar adult. There's still much for you as a collective to do. It's not about you saying, oh, well, I'm evolved, I'm mature, I know about all this stuff, so I'm just going to go my own merry way and let them deal with their stuff. No, that is an inappropriate way to helping your civilization evolve. Share what you know. Get involved with your people. This is your people. This is your planet. Take care of her. Help your fellow brothers and sisters. Don't just walk away. This is about you working together. Because if we did that, you'd never have a first contact. If we just said, oh, these humans just need to take care of themselves, let's not bother, and we all just went away, then that's going to eliminate the opportunity for such an event like this to take place. You see, again, this is where people get caught up in their ego, in their separate self. Oh, well, I know all this stuff. I know all about galactic contact, and I know about how all these civilizations act, etc. I get constant telepathic communication, so I'm just going to go my merry way, and I'll leave everybody else. I'll, in that sense, shove them under the bus. That's not the idea. That, again, still shows the child from the adult. It is about compassion. It is about community. It is about cooperation. That's what's going to lead your people into a higher rhythm, because we know how this rhythm works. As we said, this is not our first rodeo. We have interacted with many different civilizations for a very, 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 very long time in your terms of counting. We know the rhythm. Even beyond the rhythm, we know your hearts, and we know where you are. Many of you may not know, but we do. Because we are, as we would say, the ancestors. And we have done this for a very long time. It is not new to us. And you have been following every single pulse of the rhythm, leading you up into a certain point that will eventually open up a larger veil that will therefore part ways, and you will see a greater capacity to the introduction of you getting more of a familiarity pertaining to your star family that has been watching over you since the very day you first set foot on this planet. And even before that, we have been here since the inception of the earth. We have been here since the inception of this star system. It's a farm. It's a garden. For we are able to see all the way at that particular point of sequence. Not time, but sequence. The sequence in regards to where Earth matures herself as a realm that can sustain life in beautiful, multivariate ways. We are aware of that sequence. And that's what you're going to start seeing a lot more when you come into interstellar civilization. You will see less of time and you will see more of sequence. You will see points, not dates. This is why we can't really give you a date, because we don't work with dates. We work with sequences. We work with points. We work with variance. And this is the nature to what you would term as events, because that's how the interstellar community works. It's not about saying, oh, it's 3 a.m., it's time for bed, time for snoozing away, catching some Z's. No, it doesn't work that way. It is a very different world than what you are accustomed to. Does not work with the idea of day and night. Does not work with the idea of a yesterday, a today, and a tomorrow. It is about sequence. It is about points. It is about variances. It is about looking at yourself in all the facets that you are. This is what you're going to learn. Because too, the galactic civilization, what we're teaching here, is no more different than your ABCs and your 1, 2, 3s. Very common for you to know this. In fact, the children that are a part of the galactic civilization are able to perform such sophisticated states of equations that would boggle your modern scientist brains. And they operate on a very different level. We're talking about the children. We're talking about children to which you would identify from about 3 to 11 years old. They could get on a whiteboard and start writing down equations that would boggle your modern scientists' minds. They couldn't fathom how someone so young knows this. It's not that we've taught them anything special. It's that there's no veils that are creating the interference to their natural knowing. There's no veils that are trying to put these pressures on yourself to inhibit the natural intellect, the natural knowledge that you possess. Which means when you look at that small child, let's say a 3-year-old child, they are able to integrate everything that represents the facets of themselves into one. And they now are a vessel of their own knowledge, of their own intelligence, of their own intellect, of their own higher logic, and of their own will. From, as you would term, 3 years old. And you have the ability to do this too, but you don't realize it, because you have been ingrained in systems of artificiality since the day that you were born on this planet. all of those are being taken down. Bit by bit, small portions at a time. Sequences. Like cutting thin slices off a block of cheese until the entire block is now sliced neatly. And as you again put all the slices back together, a new form of cheese comes together. The veils that are no longer surrounding it. So, you again are going to see that your learning is going to expand. That everything that represents yourself as a civilization is going to grow exponentially. You are not going to look at yourself just simply as an individualized personality. That is going to fade away. You are seeing yourself as your whole self, the all self. And that's how you're going to see yourself, because that is how it operates through the intergalactic community. Do you think that we just see ourselves as this personality of Adronis, that we have some individuated consciousness, and we only see ourselves as this thin slice of cheese? No. We see the all self of us, just as we see the all self of you. But you haven't learned this, and you are going to learn this. When you learn to look at those thin slices of cheese that you have cut, put them all together to create that whole new log of cheese that helps you to understand the all self, all facets of you. Everyone you see is you. Everyone you meet is you. Everything you encounter is you. Everything that the earth is you. It is this interconnectedness principle that truly is the difference maker. When it comes to you being part of an intergalactic civilization, it is truly magnificent. It is truly beautiful. And we will say, many of you, does not matter whether you are in a body right now, whether you're up in age or not, many of you are going to come back again because you cannot wait for this moment. This is really what you needed to go through lifetime after lifetime, because even where you are right now is the genesis of something greater that's about to happen. This is what you've all signed up for. Even if you feel like you're getting up in there in age, saying, well, Adronis, in the 2050s, I would be 135 years old, so I don't think I'd be able to make it. Believe us when we say that if this is something that you're excited to be at, you're not going to miss it, regardless of what you feel you have to do. You're going to experience it. Doesn't matter. If you're not in this body, you come into another body, you remain in spirit. Believe us. Those of you who are committed to want to know this, you are going to experience it. We will guarantee you that. You will. Because that is what your commitment is drawing you to. You have never died. Another thing you're going to learn about being part of an interstellar civilization is your immortality. You are all immortal. You are all eternal. Every being that resides within our alliance knows this, as common as it is for them to breathe in and breathe out. Very common. The idea of your mortality will be a facade. It will be something that you will be able to realize its flawed nature and toss it aside. The body may die, I do not. I will always be. I am. That's the idea. You will learn to live through synchronicity. You will learn to live through the divine patterns of how everything comes together, where you are here in the moment and everything presents itself to you. Because you're living in here, that will then bring you up to here, rather than trying to live here that's going to try and bring you down here. Needs to go here, then up here, not here, then down here. You're going to learn the true ways. So, from what we have given you pertaining to this sneak peek of the idea of the question, what will it feel like when first contact happens? What we have done today is given you a verbal guidance, a verbal tour of something that is probable, of something that can be possible, but it is not definite. What is definite is, yes, you will meet your interstellar civilization, your family, your ancestors. What is definite is that you are going to evolve into being interstellar. What is definite is that you are going to transition past these old archaic systems that you are realizing is not the true way to live. That's what we can say is definite. What is definite is that you're going to learn to get along with each other. What is definite is that you are going to learn to take care of your planet. What is definite is that you are going to develop innovative systems primarily through your youth that is going to allow cooperation, compassion, community to be forged and living in that way. These are the definites. These are the milestones that you have set for yourselves. However, the first contact idea we have given you here is just a probability. It could happen. But again, there can be changes along the way, because as soon as we reveal these things, changes can now start to occur. So we want you just to reflect on everything that we have shared with you this moment in your time, here and now, and ponder these ideas. Work together. See each other as yourselves. As you know, from what is termed as the golden rule or the golden law, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's the idea. That golden rule, that golden principle, that golden law is very much how the interstellar civilization functions. We see everyone as ourselves, and they are always basked with that pure, unconditional love, because it is all one. We thank you for the opportunity of this interaction. I am Adronis of Sirius, and we will now conclude and return to the conduit. Goodbye for now. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of this video today, for tuning in for this transmission. Again, there will be some more live transmissions from Adronis here to come every second Sunday, so keep an eye on the channel here for when the next one comes. And again, I did this video today because this is something that has been addressed by many of you in the past about wanting to know more about. So again, this is why I say you're a part of this video. This is why I say you're a part of this discussion. So thank you very much for tuning in. And I will speak to you all again in another perspective of the now. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And may it be well with you all. Goodbye for now.